What makes a good story? Is it a theme that resonates with the viewer, a deep narrative, or a relatable cast of characters? While all of these are important, I don't think any of these are the key or the first step in making an enjoyable story. In fact, I think the best way to write a great story is to first understand your characters. While I write from time to time, I am in no way a writer, and I can't fully comprehend or grasp the intricacies of storytelling. But as a viewer who's consumed all types of media and has seen numerous stories, I realize the best stories are told when the writer understands who their characters are. What does it mean to understand a character, though? Simply put, it's when you take time to fully understand the people you're writing about, who they are, what they stand for, their personality, and what makes them as a person. When you understand this, you can determine what kind of story you'll be making, what actions each character will take and why, and what kind of dialogue works best for each character. From there, you can figure out each character's dynamics and flesh them out to perfection. I recently watched Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, and going into the movie, I didn't expect much given the current state of Marvel movies, but when I finished watching it, I was blown away by how good the movie was. It had a fantastic and emotional story that not only resonated with me, but felt in line with the characters that the series established. It had excellent dialogue and hilarious moments that worked and didn't take away from the serious aspects, and overall, it was a brilliant and fun film that didn't forget who their characters were and what they established in the past movies, while also improving each one in a way that only felt right given who their characters are. For the first time in a long time, I enjoyed a Marvel movie again, and it felt crazy to think that something from recent Marvel could pull all of this off. And the reason why they could do all of this in the first place is because the writer and director, James Gunn, completely understands who his characters are. And this isn't just in this movie. James Gunn has always understood who his characters were and what kind of movie series he's making. From the start of the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1, we can plainly see who the characters are and what they stand for. In Volume 1, we get to see the character of Star-Lord, who is someone deeply rooted in family and love, as he lost the only person he considered family at a young age. And since then, he had no one to love him, so he scoured the universe in search of those two things. He's emotional and cares a great deal about anyone he calls family. Because of this, it's no wonder in the first movie he was hopping from woman to woman trying to find someone to love him, and why Gamora's death in Infinity War was so impactful to him, as he found true love and then lost it. The importance of family to his character is also why, despite going against Yondu's wishes in the first movie, he still considered him family and even felt bad for tricking him, as he was the only family he had left in the galaxy at the time. Both family and love are important to him as a character, but he's also silly and can be a real dumb idiot sometimes, which the movie establishes time and time again. Sometimes he even lands himself into sticky situations because of it. But you can't help but love him because of his heroism and need to do what's right, and how he escapes the messes he finds himself in with intellect and quick thinking.
Child, things are gonna get easier. Ooh, child, things will get brighter. Listen to these words. Ooh, child, things are gonna get easier. Ooh, child, things will get brighter. Now bring it down hard. Someday, we'll put it together.
What are you doing?
Dance off, bro. Me and you. Come on. Subtle. Take it back.
What are you doing?
I'm distracting you, you big turd blossom.
All in all, Star-Lord is a big loser who's always been losing the people he cares for. So, he wants family more than anything else in the world. So, what kind of story and supporting characters would you make for that kind of guy? Well, you would make a story that has to do with family, and you would give him the biggest losers of them all, the Guardians of the Galaxy. While all different, the Guardians of the Galaxy have one thing in common. They're all losers who've lost the things they care about. Rocket is a professional asshole who says mean things he doesn't mean to his friends, steals things he doesn't need, and acts super tough to hide his insecurities and push people away because, really, he's the weakest one of them all and doesn't want to feel the pain of losing people again. He says all kinds of stuff and starts arguments with his friends, but he still sticks around with them because they're their only family he has. Drax is a straightforward and blunt brute who relies mostly on his strength and can be a bigger idiot than Star-Lord, but he's a dad at heart and understands the pain of losing someone and the feelings of others as he lost his wife and daughter. He says a lot of stupid things, but he means what he says, usually in a good way, and cares greatly for family as he lost one already. Gamora is the serious one in the group, as she focused more on survival than forging relationships when she was young. She's usually the straight man in the group who rolls off everyone's stupid antics, yet she also has a good heart and can be silly at times. She lost her family and whole planet at an early age due to Thanos, and spent her life trying to get away from him, not realizing what she really needed was family, and that family was beside her all along. And Groot is the last of his species, not having anything close to a family until he found Rocket. Each Guardian, and even the characters who joined the team in the later films, all lost in more ways than one, and have kept running from things their whole life. They fight so they don't have to run anymore, and so they can save people from losing just like them. They banded together through circumstances, but stayed because they found what they really needed in each other: family. And because family is so important to each character, their story is built around family, with Volume 1 being about finding family, and Volume 2 being about understanding what it means to be family. Then Volume 3 establishes that they're all family and they deeply care about each other, with the theme of it being more about not running away and facing yourself, which is another thing that's super important to the characters. In understanding who each character is and building a story with who they are in mind, it only makes Guardians of the Galaxy more enjoyable as a story and a film. This is why this movies can do stupid humor but also be serious, as the humor is accurate to the actual characters' personalities, and they know when to pull out the serious scenes because it's putting the character in mind and it's thinking about when the character would say something serious and why. No dialogue or scene is wasted, and everything feels purposeful because James Gunn knows the people he's writing about. And when a character does something, it's in relation to their characterization at the time. Who they are, what they've been through, and what they stand for is kept in mind, and in the end, you can feel the impact and emotion when the movie wants you to. You can laugh at the silly jokes, and you can overall be swept away by the story at hand. Movies like Love and Thunder don't work because it knows nothing about who Thor is and what he's been through in the last few movies. It treats him like a huge buffoon who's constantly making jokes instead of who he actually is. When Love and Thunder does comedy, it's played for jokes and jokes only rather than relating to who the character is as a person. And so that's why even the jokes feel out of character, since the characters in question wouldn't even make a joke like that at the time.
Prudence.
You're missing an arm. I'm gonna get you home.
No! Leave me here. I want to die a warrior's death. On the battlefield, in battle. And then I can claim my place in Valhalla.
Oh, I hate to break it to you, but for a warrior to get into Valhalla, you have to die in the battle. You survived.
Oh, shit!
Maybe your arm is in Valhalla.
Or even do that, and that's why it's widely hated, because Taika Waititi doesn't understand Thor or its characters. Then movies like Multiverse of Madness are a mixed bag because Doctor Strange is given the role of supporting a character who isn't anything like him in the slightest, and it barely feels like his own movie since none of the themes or story have anything to do with him as a character. But even while saying that, the writers and directors aren't fully to blame, since the MCU as a whole is bogged down by the greater interconnected universe, and each film or product has to make things for the sake of the next movie, or talk about events that happened in the last movie. Characters do things for the sake of plot, and writers don't get the chance for creative freedom or to stay true to their characters because of the plans of the next movie, like Ms. Marvel. That being said, however, despite being a part of a huge universe, Guardians of the Galaxy still feels like one independent series, with each movie connecting with one another perfectly. And it even helps that there are no end credits tying into the next Marvel product, and none of the plot points of the last Marvel movie are that important or retreaded. Guardians feels like something on its own in a big universe, yet it also doesn't forget the things the characters went through that didn't happen in the series of movies, like the developments in Infinity War and Endgame, which just goes to show the love and care James Gunn puts in and how much he understands his characters. He treats them like his babies and puts real thought into the movies he creates, and it just ends up as an entertaining spectacle and feels like a movie. It knows what it is and doesn't try to be something it's not for the sake of plot. That's why people, including me, love his film so much. And I wish more MCU directors and writers took time to understand these characters, because it's so integral to making a great movie, and it's the first step in making a great movie, as you can't have anything that makes a great narrative without understanding who your characters are. If more MCU directors and writers did take that time to understand their characters, maybe then we would get great Marvel films again. But you know, who knows? The Marvels might be pretty great.
Oh, not again! Hi.